Hey guys, Tim here with the Long Hair Gardener, and today I just want to do a quick update on what's been going on in my garden. The last two videos I have going on little mini field trips around the city to see what other people have been growing. So if you haven't seen those, please check those videos out. I feel like they're really good for finding ideas for what your garden can look like and for finding new plants. But today I want to focus on what's been going on back here, so please join me and let's take a look. Alright, so let's get started over here. We'll start with the red Abyssinian, or the ornamental banana tree. It is doing okay. It is of course getting bigger. I did measure it the other day, and from the base of the plant to the tallest leaf, it does measure 5 feet, which is larger than I thought it was going to get. So there's that. But it is getting these like brown kind of crunchy edges, and I think it's possibly getting too much sun. And also I'm having difficulty keeping up with the watering. There is a sweet potato vine in this same pot, and they do tend to drink a lot of water along with the banana tree. So I think it's just a struggle right there for it to have enough water. Down below here, I think that's the same situation. The sweet potato vine is looking amazing, but then the sun impatient in the back is either getting too much sun or not enough water. I think it's a combination of the two, and also the sweet potato vine is just, they really take up a lot of water, so I think it becomes a struggle with the other plants that are in the same pot with them. Moving over here, everything else is pretty much, it's about the same as it has been doing. We have been in the 90s, so for me, I think the best I can ask for is just, are they still alive? Are they doing okay? Because it's really just too hot for a lot of these plants. Moving over here, I have a hyacinth bean vine growing up on the window, along with a cypress fern. So the cypress fern is this vine right here. It has this great foliage. It is not doing anything yet. It's meaning it's not blooming yet. So I am hopeful that it will eventually bloom, but it may be getting too shaded by the hyacinth bean vine. If you look up top here, the hyacinth bean vine is just starting to bloom. So I am excited for this to get into full bloom, because there are buds throughout this entire plant. It has moved on over to the porch light, which is okay as long as it blooms. Up here on the wall, got some petunias. They are very leggy. I am tempted to pinch them back, but honestly most of my petunias are not doing good, so I kind of just want to leave them alone for right now. The Dichondra Silver Falls is looking great, especially from a distance. And moving next door here, got another hyacinth bean vine growing up the homemade trellis back there. Down below here, I think it's, most of the plants are in the same boat, in the same situation. This teacup colocasia is definitely not happy in this spot. Way too much sun. I thought I would try it in a sunnier location this year in hopes that it would be happy, but it is definitely getting too much sun and it's getting burnt. You can tell by these crunchy edges on the leaves. Down here, this guy is finally starting to bloom after the verbena, after I had cut it back. Some of the plants in this pot have been a struggle too. Possibly, again, sorry sweet potato vines, I'm blaming you for everything, but there is another sweet potato vine in here and I think it's just taking up too much of the moisture. So I may have to rethink those next year. Alright, spinning around, I do want to point out the Cleome, or the spider plant. It's doing quite well. I have 2 of those, and you can see the flower is at the top of this really long stem. The flower basically just starts at the top, bottom here, and then it just keeps, the blooming rather, just keeps moving its way up the stem. So it's just going to keep on going until it eventually dies, and then where it did bloom, we are left with these seed pods, and I think this is where it gets the name spider plant, because all of these little seed pods kind of look like spider legs. So inside here, and I just accidentally broke one open, there are a whole bunch of seeds. So I may need to come through here and gather some of those up for next year, and also just because I don't want those seeds going everywhere, or I'm gonna have way too many Cleome. So while we're talking about the Cleome, I'm just gonna come over here and show you the other one. Same situation. This particular one has 2 stems with flowers on it. It's quite tall. I'd probably say this is also about 5 feet tall, but looking very nice. While we're in this section, let me just step back for a minute. One of the main things that I wanted to show you today were the magic lilies, or the resurrection lilies, and that's this guy right here. They are in full bloom. I do have 3 of them. There's another one right over here, and then there is another one hiding behind this canna. So the reason why these are called magic lilies or resurrection lilies is because the foliage appears in the springtime, very lush green foliage, and then it just dies away with all of the other spring bulb foliage, and then you think the plant is completely gone. And then about this time of year, we are in the beginning of August, you're going to have a single stem, or in this case it looks like there's 2 stems, basically just appear out of nowhere, and then you're going to get this nice flowering stem that just pops out of the ground, kind of like magic. So I did want to show you what these look like. Really love these plants, and they're a nice little surprise as we're approaching the near end of the season, although we probably still have a good month and a half to 2 months yet. Alright, I also wanted to talk about, we can pause here briefly, this is the only planter that has a sweet potato vine that is doing well, and I think that's because it's more in the shade, so I'm able to keep up with the watering. This planter is doing really well. So I know I've talked about it many times before, so I'm not going to go into all the details of what's in here, but I do want to just pause here briefly just so you could take a look at how good that planter is doing. I do want to talk about the Caladiums. I don't think I have ever actually gone through here and named or given the names of all of the caladiums that I have. I think I have about 6 different ones. So I thought now would be a good time to actually tell you what their names are in case you are interested in getting some yourself. So let's see, this guy right here that we're looking at, just gonna come in to get a really nice look. This is called Flatter Me Not. And then the red one right beside it here is called a Festivia. Alright, the other caladiums, let me just walk around here. The other caladiums are in the other section over here. As always, trying to walk through here without me stepping on all of the plants. So I do have another Festivia right here. It's slightly different color because it gets more shade. And then right over here we have a Moir. This one might be my favorite. I really love those red spots against that white background, and then those green veins. There's also a lot of green back here, so I think just that pop of white is something that I really like. It also, those red spots or pink spots really complement the Hawaiian Thai plant back here. So I think that's just a good combo. Alright, let's step back over here. These are the rest of my caladiums. So, always trying to remember which one is which. I believe this one is called Carousel. The one with the more white, predominantly white leaf with the red veining, and then the one below it, which looks very similar, except it is predominantly pink. I believe this one is called Fannie Munson. And then we have back here, predominantly white one with green veins rather than red. I am completely forgetting the name of this one, so I will have to put that back up on the screen later. That happens a lot. A lot of plants to remember. But while we're over here, I do also want to show you the Epixia is blooming. This is a house plant, so I thought I would show that off briefly. And while we're over here, you can see the difference. So this, you can see the difference in size when I put my hand up here. This is also a teacup colocasia, and it's doing much better than the previous one I showed you because it gets a lot more shade over here. So note to self, do not put the colocasias in full sun because they really get burned. We've looked at this several times before, but I think it's just looking really great in this lighting. This is the Mojito colocasia. So happy with this one. This is the second year having this plant. It does have a huge canopy and it kind of shades or blocks out the plants that are below it, but it's such a beautiful plant that I almost don't mind that it's covering up the plants below. This year has also been really good for the coleus. So I just want to do a little quick pan of how these coleus are doing, and also the other coleus on the other side here. Alright, we can step back out of here. So I think I mentioned that the surprise lily, resurrection lily, magic lily, it has so many names, is a bulb, so it does come back every year. And I did also want to point out that I have another bulb, which is also a late bloomer, blooming here in August. I have a Crocosmia or Lucifer plant, and this is the first year that is actually blooming for me. I think it took about 3 years for it to bloom, so I'm happy that that has finally decided to show up. Alright, let me just do another quick pan of the garden just so you can see what everything's looking like. The echinacea or cone flowers are still hanging in pretty strong. I do have a canna that's coming along nicely. I'm glad that the canna is there. Do have some coxcomb that have reseeded from last year, and I've mentioned before I've been having a lot of trouble with stuff growing in this center part right here, so I'm glad that these random coxcomb have decided to show up just to fill in some of the gaps. I do have a brown-eyed Susan down here growing next to the echinacea, and I think I just kind of glazed over the dahlias that are blooming right here. There's a lot of buds, but not a lot blooming at this moment. I also will come down here and point out how well my purple heart is doing, and also that it is blooming. So it's a nice little added bonus. Of course, this plant has beautiful foliage, but it also has those purple flowers every now and then. So I think next year, if I do have sweet potato vines again, which I love sweet potato vines, but they're such a dominant presence and water guzzler that I think I need to put them in the ground like I did right here. I have two in the ground, and they seem to be doing good without soaking up all the water from any other plants, neighboring plants. Of course, the impatiens and more tradescantias down here are doing really well. I will lean in quickly and just point out that I do have a whole bunch of elephant ears back here, and they are in pots, and they're doing pretty good this year. Alright, I think that pretty much covers everything. Again, I just kind of wanted to show you where everything's at, show you what the growth is like. Not really a whole lot of new plants, other than the magic lilies. It's more just an update just to show you how everything has been doing as we are now entering August. We have been having heat wave after heat wave, and thankfully most of the plants are doing pretty good, with just a few exceptions getting a little too much sun and maybe not enough water on my part. Alright. Alright guys, thank you for joining me today. I think that's pretty much everything. Thanks for coming along with me and taking a look at my garden. If you do like watching these videos, please click like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. And I will see you on the next garden tour. Have a great day in your garden.